Would probably be busy all night now. I stood for a bit at the edge of the gap and finally made up my mind. I got a firm grip on the machete and started cutting the supports of the bridge I had recently walked across. I didn't much believe hyenas would use it, but who was to say they were the only nasty creatures around here? After I finished, I breathed a sigh of relief and went to investigate the ancient dwellings which, as an aside, left a lot to be desired in terms of size. Everywhere I looked there was moss, scorched walls, and desolation. Whoever used to live here, they abandoned this place a very long time ago. I walked up and down the floors, scoured every nook and cranny, then went back up to the portal. My hopes of finding something other than a gateway into my world were dashed. I didn't find any hunter markers or altars either. While I combed the floors, the growling and squealing outside was constantly growing louder. By the looks of things, more and more visitors were arriving to the party all the time. A mighty growl suddenly thundered through the area, making me sit up in surprise. There were now bigger predators on the scene. Another growl caught me between the 5th and 6th floors. It was a bit different, somewhat more drawn out and raspy. Not making any sudden movements, I went over to the window and looked down. I could only see a little way in the darkness, but it was enough to realize running away and hiding was the right decision. The creatures that had been attracted by the commotion and smell of blood were scarily big. I distantly considered how lucky we were to run into the hyenas. The huge beasts who had scared off all the scavengers with nothing but a growl would have almost certainly torn us to shreds. While poking out the window, I started to get the feeling something was watching me, something hungry and ornery. A chill ran down my spine. Abyss! Seemingly I had been spotted despite my best efforts. But who or what had spotted me? Getting a tighter grip on my bow, I took a look around. The bloodbath was still raging down below. It wasn't likely that anything down there had gotten distracted by a lone figure up in a 6th-story window. So, still pretending to look at what was happening down below, I looked up while moving my head as little as possible. From under my brow, I started looking at the opposite building. As if they'd heard my prayers, the dark clouds in front of the moon scattered like a smoldering piece of paper. Soft moonlight touched the damaged walls of the dead buildings. And just then, I saw a creature watching me. Black with shaggy fur, twice the size of the hyenas. Its arms were long and its legs short. It was hiding among the ivy vines that wrapped around the opposite building. Somehow the beast could tell I had seen it. With a short growl, hurriedly moving its feet, the thing slipped downward. Once it reached the ground, its inky black silhouette instantly dissipated into the leaf cover. I didn't go feeding naive illusions that it might just ignore me, but I was still in no rush to go downstairs. Standing in the window, I waited while focusing my gaze on the plants. My temples were splitting in tension. Well then, where are you? There you are! Something flitted quickly through the leaves, and a moment later a small sapling bent just slightly. The beast was running into our building. Time to go, I commanded myself and ran down to where Badger was. As I went, I ran my fingers through the fletching of an arrow. For some reason, I found that motion reassuring. I thought distantly that I was not panicking. Sure, Gorgie was not by my side, and I didn't have my magic, but I had recently learned how to hold my own just fine. Beyond that, I had a surprise in store for our visitor, a scroll of fury. I came down one more floor and quickly peeked out the window. The brute was already clambering up the wall of our building. It spotted me and gave a short growl, revealing its yellow fangs. Our gazes met. I could see fury and impatience in its ghastly black eyes. No longer trying to hide, it tore off in my direction. With a malicious smile, I ducked deeper into the building and ran 10 steps back from the window. I'll meet that thing here, in a narrow corridor. Raising the bow, I pulled the drawstring back to my chin and got ready to activate the scroll. My pursuer didn't keep me waiting. Its hunched silhouette blotted out the light coming through the window, making it dark in the hallway. But that didn't bother me. The bowstring gave a dull thud. The taut limbs of the bow straightened out and the arrow, boosted by fury, went flying. Truth be told, although I was expecting that shot to be different from the last ones, it still caught me by surprise. I must give the creature its due. It reacted pretty quick. If it were Badger shooting instead of me, it probably could have dodged. But unfortunately for it,